Florida orange juice. It's hard to imagine a time when it wasn't the quintessential breakfast drink, but its journey from rare treat to breakfast staple is a remarkable story shaped by engineering expertise and innovative thinking. And that story couldn't be told without Dr. James Redd. Known by his friends as Doc, Jim Redd was born in 1918 in North Florida and came from humble beginnings.
You could meet Jim for the first time in any setting and think, geez, what just a really nice guy. He was from a lumber family. Not that part of the lumber family that owned the trees. He came from the part of the lumber business that cut down the trees and hauled them out.
He attended the University of Florida, earning his PhD in chemistry in 1943. He worked for the next few years as a citrus researcher and engineer before being chosen by Florida Southern College in 1947 to become the first director of their newly established citrus school.
Dr. Redd's vision about that was to make it very practical. One of the things he was known for was bringing industry experts to the school to talk about what are the practical problems the industry is facing, and then he brought his students to tours, to the plants themselves to show them what was going on.
In 1951, Dr. Redd moved on from Florida Southern and spent the next decade as a consulting engineer. He worked directly with many early citrus processors and saw the various issues of the concentration process at the time. Concentrated orange juice had existed since the 1930s and was used to deliver vitamin C to our allies during World War II. Though it was a convenient product, the concentration process stripped the juice of much of its flavor. It wasn't until 1945 that the process improved enough to make concentrated orange juice a viable consumer product.
The key flavor components in citrus, when the concentrate was made, were being lost. The clever idea that was come up was we're going to take 90% concentrate and mix it with 10% fresh juice and freeze it. It was a very good product and it was explosively successful. Everybody knew, however, in the industry, it was only 10% of the flavor.
At the time, processors used high vacuum, low temperature citrus evaporators to prepare the concentrate. This prevented the juice's flavor from being damaged by heat, but it was complicated, inefficient, and still lost most of the flavor through evaporation.
It had many problems, mostly bacteriological problems. The juice was not pasteurized. It had to be frozen immediately. Cleaning the evaporator was a huge problem. The taste evaporator changed all that.
In 1960, Dr. Redd co-invented the thermally accelerated short-time evaporator, known as the taste evaporator, with his partner Charlie Walker and fellow engineer Ralph Cook. Inspired by the machinery used to produce apple juice concentrate, Dr. Redd and his colleagues had the counterintuitive realization that a high-temperature, low-vacuum approach could solve many of the problems plaguing citrus producers, and set out to design an evaporator that would soon revolutionize the industry. This new design also made it possible to recapture the flavor volatiles, or essence, that were formerly lost through evaporation. So Doc Redd designed a companion device to do exactly that, the Redd Essence Unit. The essence would then be blended back into the concentrated juice, creating the rich flavor of orange juice we enjoy today.
When they saw the results, everybody wanted one. They realized that it was a much superior evaporator. It was cheaper, far more reliable compared to what they had been doing. There was no comparison.
In 1961, Dr. Redd founded his first company, Redd Laboratories Incorporated. The business offered consulting services and designed new equipment in conjunction with his business partner, Charlie Walker, of Gulf Machinery Company.
Charlie was an 8th grade genius, literally a genius. And they made a team that I don't know of any other than I've ever known. It was a really tight relationship. They complemented each other dramatically, and then I held the reins on the business part of it. So I guess we made a pretty good team, I don't know.
Redd Labs became the world experts in citrus essences and pursued new applications for these flavoring products. By the mid-1970s, Nearly all of Florida's orange juice producers had reformulated their products to utilize essence.
In the early 1960s, when Dr. Red is collecting citrus essences for the first time out of juice, no one else in the world had that expertise. Think about that. The impact of Central Florida and an industry that did not exist prior to 1945 is now international in scope and touching the tongues, basically, of the majority of the people on the planet.
Without his work, we would be stuck in the era of 50, 60, 70 years ago, where you only had orange juice in the winter, and he's responsible in large part for us having fresh citrus year-round.
While the concentration process made Florida orange juice available year-round, the freeze of 57-58 showed the vulnerability of its fruit supply. Doc Red understood that an alternate source of oranges, grown during Florida's off-season, could hedge against future freezes. With that in mind, he traveled to Brazil.
When the 57-58 freeze came, relatively speaking at the time, it was devastating. And he recognized that. And it was his mind that we have to have an alternative source. So he and Charlie Walker went down in '61 and began to lay the foundation for that. And by '62, they were down there building the plant. What he had no way of knowing, because there was no crystal ball, there was a '62-63 freeze. And by the summer of '63, Sukanaza, the plant they were building, was turned on and actually generating product.
Dr. Red eventually sold Red Labs, and in 1971 founded his second company, Intercit, where he continued developing new citrus flavors. Always willing to share his knowledge, Doc Red compiled his industry know-how into his highly influential Quality Control Manual for Citrus Processing Plants. First published in 1966, the manual was updated several times, transitioning from a single edition to a 3-volume hardback set by the 1990s.
I've been to most citrus beverage companies in Europe. I've been to all of them in Brazil. I've been to a number of ones in China and Japan. Every lab I visited has had Doc Red's QC manual somewhere on the shelf.
He spent his life creating products that might never have existed had he not done all of the research.
Dr. Red revolutionized the industry. When you look today, no matter where you're at in the world, you go to Europe and you get juice off the shelf that has essence in it, that has Doc Red's DNA in it.
He belonged in the Citrus Hall of Fame a long time ago. I'm thrilled he's there now.
How about that? Wasn't that a juicy story?